Lewandowski.
Football teaches you many sayings. Some are facts.
A game takes 90 minutes.
Others are obvious.
The next game is always the hardest.
This fixture has already confirmed many wise words.
3-3. Football's a mad game, isn't it?
So never forget.
You have no chance? Take it.
Heed the wise words of football. FC Bayern München versus Arminia Bielefeld.
Stream the Bundesliga on the Caribbean's most watched sports app, FlowSports.
These are the moments, they say, that dreams are made of.
A fortuitous boundary for Evan Lewis. The West Indies will take it.
Greatness doesn't take a day off.
These are the lessons of a true champion.
Jump up, people, are you ready? Windies in the land, just put up your hand. It's time to...
Hello and welcome to On Tour with the West Indies in Sri Lanka. It's a day 5 of the first test at Galle. I'm Andrew Seeley and you're watching FlowSports. And welcome to On Tour once again. Gentlemen, Tino Bess and Johnny Barron, West Indies, in fact, we only lost by 187 runs. I think we're probably a little optimistic, Tino, in that we managed to get the game that far. Your thoughts on the loss by 187 runs?
Yeah, I mean, a loss is a loss, but there's a lot of positives that you can take out of it. I'm a very optimistic person. I always try to look for the positive in every situation that goes good or goes bad. I thought the way that Bonner applied himself and fought hard, 68 not out, carrying his back through the innings, I thought that was wonderful to see. And it's very good to see that De Silva get his 50 in, maybe about 5 or 6 test matches. So that's good to see. And those are the two positives. So that's really and truly the only person that made the runs in this test match was Craig Brathwaite, 41 in the first innings and stuff. But I think that you have to continue to look at the positives and try to how you can get better over the next 2 or 3 days before the next test start. So it's going to be very, very watchful to see what combination they go in for this second test.
Johnny, the summary of the game would show that Sri Lanka actually batted quite well. 386 and 191 for 4 as against 230 and 160, which suggests that the Sri Lanka was definitely the dominant team in this first test match.
Yeah, look, I think Sri Lanka were well worth their victory. They did the critical thing, to be honest, which is batting first. In Sri Lanka, you need to bat first. A lot of pitches around the world, actually, they say actually batting second is more of an advantage, but you need to bat first, ideally, in Sri Lankan conditions, especially in Galle, because it turns from the off. And the first day, without a shadow of a doubt, is the time to score runs, as we saw in this test match. But I think Sri Lanka were excellent. They are an improving side. They've got a really balanced attack. The fact that the 19 of the 20 wickets fell from the spinners. They've got 2 left armers. They've got 2 right armers. You know, they haven't got the mystery, of course, of the likes of Harath, perhaps, and maybe Murali, but they've got a very, very dependent attack in those conditions. And they've got a top 6, a really good top 6, who all average around about 40. And that will stand you in good stead in any level of international cricket, let alone when you're at home with the onus and the benefits of winning the toss. So I thought they were excellent. From a West Indies point of view, you know, they battled brilliantly today. You know, 18 for 6 they were, and to get to 160 And bear in mind, actually, they were in a whisker of saving this game because the rain fell pretty much shortly after the 10th wicket. They kept the game alive as much as they could. But the damage was done really in that first innings, ultimately for the top order failing in both innings. And that is a problem. And we've seen that being a problem for a while for the West Indies.
Tino, the partnership of exactly 100 between Bonner and De Silva was very revealing, because it would want to suggest that on a day 5 pitch, we were able to get a 7th wicket partnership of 100, which means that we probably need to look at Nkrumah Bonner a little more closely, because clearly there may well be something special about Bonner and also De Silva.
Look, Bonner from Bangladesh, when the West Indies was chasing that 395, when he waited, 12, 11 seasons to get a test match or get an opportunity. I thought he looked hungry. He looked like a cricketer that going to work hard, that's going to keep fighting. And he's not pretty like a Shea Hope or those Apuran and stuff. But he's one of those players that gritty. He's going to keep fighting. And that's what you want to see. I thought that De Silva scoring of 50 was really good for his confidence. And, at the end of the day, I still think that Shea Dorridge have gotten a real raw deal. But at the end of the day, Shea and Dorridge got to come back and keep fighting, because there's an opportunity for him to be in that team. And he was one of our better batsmen over the last 4 or 5 years. But at the end of the day, I think that the fight shown today was wonderful to watch. And it is very difficult, as Johnny said, to back 4th innings on a goal pitch. But they just goes to show you that once you continue to fight, and that's what the West Indian fans want. They want to see fight from their team.
Johnny, on the whole point of Bonner and De Silva and the partnership, Bonner got 68 not out off 220 balls, and De Silva got 54 off 129 balls. Those are the kind of balls that batsmen need to bat, and I think that's what we saw. Your thoughts on Bonner and De Silva?
Well, Bonner, I think as Nkrumah Bonner, as Tino alluded to, he's waited his opportunity and he's taken his opportunity. He's played a few games now, and he's now averaging over 40, which is a mark of class. It's not supreme. It's not kind of in the stellar kind of 50 plus territory, but you're a good player in modern day Test cricket if you can average 40 plus, and that's where he is now. And the fact that he chewed up 220 balls, and alongside De Silva, who has been watchful. If you look actually, when West Indies have been successful in the past year or so, it's often those kind of De Silva partnerships, the kind of 6th, 7th, 8th wicket, that have been critical to the West Indies' success. That is one of their key success. That's one of their key areas of success. The West Indies is they've got a very effective middle and lower order. The problem, of course, is at the top. But Nkrumah Bonner was superb. 220 balls on a 5th day pitch that's been turning really since the first day. I thought was superb. And I thought De Silva, that was a really valuable knock. And actually, if you look at his career, what he does do is chew up balls, and he's a partnership maker as well. Still early days for him.
Certainly. I know, Tino, that when Nkrumah Bonner was first selected, there were a lot of raised eyebrows because as you mentioned, his statistics from first-class cricket in the region over a 13, 14-year period were nothing to flattering at all. But certainly he has come into his own, and it would seem that he's now cemented that number 3 spot, and persons like Darren Bravo and Shea Hope, etc., who we love their flamboyance and their flair, will now have to take a backseat.
Yeah, and that is what cricket is about. It's all about grabbing your opportunity when it's given. Look, this is the time that we live in, Andrew. And when you're talking about averages and stuff with the West Indies cricket team, just don't look, please. There's nothing to look at. But when they get into that test arena and they show that character, it's all about character. And I thought that Nkrumah Bonner, I played against Nkrumah for a while. He's one of those guys that if we hit him with a short ball, he's not going to go square leg. He's going to back himself. He's going to try to get in line. And he's a very humble spirit. And that is what you want. You want guys that are going to keep fighting and wear that badge with passion and pride. And as you and Johnny alluded to, you batting 220 odd balls on a 5th day pitch. It's wonderful. And that is what Phil Simmons have to get through the minds of our batters. Listen, this is what you got to bat. This should be the blueprint of batsmanship playing on goal for that second test. Got to bat balls, score off the balls, and there's no mystery. These guys aren't a Mulitharan. They're not a Mendes. They're not even a Graham Swan. But because the pitch is conducive for that, you got to use your feet. You got to sweep the cricket ball. You got to play the ball late. Those are the fundamentals of playing spin in the subcontinent.
Let's talk about Johnny, a bit about Embledinier, who took 5 for 46, and Ramesh Mendes 4 for 64. Outstanding bowling performances. Not so much today, even though it was a day 5 pitch. But tell us a bit about the two spinners, the two Sri Lankan outstanding spinners.
Yeah, I mean, I think Mickey Arthur and Sri Lanka have got a really balanced attack here. And if you look at Embledinier, he had an absolutely superb series against England in the 2 test matches that were played in Gaul earlier this year. He bowled absolutely superbly, and with a little bit more luck and without the runs of Joe Root, as I mentioned before, he could easily have ended up on the winning side in that series. And again, he's proved it again today. And what's impressive actually about this Sri Lankan side is that at every single point in this test match, somebody has stood up and has taken wickets. And the fact they've got the blend of the 2 left armers and the 2 right armers, it's a very, very potent threat in home conditions. Chuck in the fact that they've got 2 very capable seamers as well. But I think Embledinier was superb today. Ramesh Mendes took 7 wickets in the game. And of course, Praveen Jarakarma also took 5 wickets. And of course, he's off the back of taking 11 wickets in his last test match against Bangladesh. This is an improving side and an improving and very capable attack.
Tino, you're a pace bowler, of course, but you know good spin bowling. Tell us a bit about the trio of spinners from Sri Lanka, Embledinier, Mendes, and Jaya Vikarama.
Yeah, look, winning is a habit. And when you get yourself in positions to win, and you win, and you know how to do that, I think it just breeds positivity throughout that whole dressing room. And you feel invincible. Something that Courtney Brown said while I was playing with him, he always said, winning is a habit. You got to win cricket matches and back yourself. And what that does is cement guys in that 11. What it also does is give guys the understanding of how to win cricket matches as well. So if Sri Lanka continue to play this good cricket, and then they go and travel, and they take this same blueprint on tours, they will be successful. But West Indies obviously are in a depth of losing consistently, so they're just going to continue losing. They've got to find the formula to save cricket matches. I don't think they should try to win games. I think they should try to draw cricket matches and try to be competitive, and then they can move on to winning games. But I just wish all the guys all the best for the second test. But those spinners are going to be tough, and you've got to use your feet. You've got to use your feet and sweep the ball and back yourself against these spinners. That's the honest truth, Andrew.
Well, I think the first thing that we have been able to do in this first test at Gaul, Tino, is to take it well into the 5th day. I think a lot of persons, after we were bowled out for 230 and were struggling, did not anticipate that we would have got to the 5th day. So I think that's perhaps the first step in a series of small steps that need to be taken.
Yeah, for sure. I think that if we didn't lose, if we weren't 18 for 6, and we took it into the 5th day, maybe losing 2 or 3 wickets, I think it was a big opportunity to draw the game because of the inclement weather. And then, as Johnny said, the rain, as soon as the 10th wicket was taken by Sri Lanka, the rain fell. So it just goes to show you that if we didn't lose those big cluster of wickets, 18 for 6. I've not even played primary school cricket, and my team was 18 for 6. I mean, I played a test match, we got bowled out for 47. But so that's a painful memory. But really and truly, if you're looking to draw matches, you've got to soak up balls like what Bonner has done. And that is the blueprint for batting in Sri Lanka.
5th day action, Johnny. We took the game into the 5th day, as you mentioned, and then the rains came. But I think that's a small victory for the West Indies. I don't know how you see it.
Oh, very much so. I mean, I think Momentum is a funny one, isn't it? In sport, the momentum is very much with Sri Lanka after this very comprehensive first Test victory. But they won the toss. Winning the toss is a big factor, and it really is in call, you have to say. And I think actually, but the West Indies will take enormous confidence. The fact they batted out 48.3 overs today, nearly saved the game, as a result of the weather. And it's those little small moments that they need to cling on to. I think, it's very easy to be very disheartened. But actually, if you look at the results this year, of course, they've got that win against Bangladesh. They drew at home, and they're probably disappointed to draw against Sri Lanka in that Test series. And then anybody can lose 2-0 against South Africa, who have an extraordinary record in the West Indies. I think they've just lost the one Test series, but that was only a one-off Test, I think, when they came back from isolation. And then, of course, they drew 1-1 with Pakistan. So all is not lost from a West Indies point of view. And Sri Lanka are an improving side. They got bundled by South Africa, they got bundled by England, but again, they drew against West Indies and they beat Bangladesh 1-0 as well. So, they're interesting sides, these two, because, the West Indies, I know there's a lot of criticism about the top six, but things can change. The West Indies are very capable of bouncing back. The key thing, dare I say, is they've just got to grind out some runs with that top order. And if they can win the toss in that second Test, because we know what this pitch is going to do.
Okay, certainly. Well, let's now hear from the West Indies captain, Craig Brathwaite, in the face of yet another defeat. But let's hear what Craig has to say.
Craig, obviously, it's not a good start for you. Losing is not the best thing, but you'll take a lot of heart with the way the low order batted for you guys today.
Yeah, I thought today, Joshua and, Bonner, the fight they showed, even from yesterday evening being 16 for 5 for 6. I think that was tremendous, for us. And, as batsmen, we just gotta learn from it.
Looking at the game, in hindsight, what do you think you could have done differently?
Well, I always believe the first innings total is always important. And, obviously, if you don't do well there, you're going to be under pressure. And that's where we fell down. Obviously, Sri Lanka, the skipper played well first innings. And it was important for us to get close to their score, even pass. And obviously, we let ourselves down there.
You reckon the toss was vital?
Crucial. Obviously, they're too late. Obviously, ball started to spin a little more. But at any day, it's cricket you're playing. So, whatever challenges you get, you got to be able to overcome them.
Yeah, you spoke about some of the positives, particularly about the low order. But what about the bowling?
Bowling, I must commend the bowlers. All the fast bowlers, putting a big effort. Shannon Gabriel getting 2 wickets, asking for some aggression, and he showed it. The spinners, were a decent roster getting 5, where he can. Obviously, Sri Lanka batted well. And, I thought we were decent, but we really let ourselves down, with the bat in the first innings.
Tino, the words of West Indies captain Craig Brathwaite, when he became captain, when he came into the position from his good friend Jason Holder, there were high hopes for the West Indies team after the series in Bangladesh. Things have not always gone so well then. Your thoughts on Craig Brathwaite's captaincy over the past year or so?
A lot. He has to improve. He has to be a lot bolder as a captain. He needs a little bit of Sagarfield Sobers, a little bit of Brian Lara, a little bit of Viv, a little bit of Sutcliffe, and a mix-up. I think that being a student of the game and watching how different captains maneuver their bowlers and knowing when to push and pull them is very critical. I think he should have a phone call with someone like a Courtney Brown and understand how to maneuver his troops. I think that he pulls back too much. He's a very too relaxed sometimes. He doesn't make the right decisions. I don't think he's aggressive enough. And if I'm going to mark him out of 10 for this Test match, or since he took over the captaincy, I'm going to give him a average of 4.5 out of 10. But room to improve. I think that he can improve, but he has to call up some senior players, former captains that have been successful, and learn to understand captaincy a lot more, because when you look at how he's been captaining the team, it's been very negative.
Johnny, your thoughts on Craig Brathwaite as captain over the last year? Tino is going to give him a 4.5. Your thoughts?
4.5 out of 10, yeah, tough. Well, Tino is a tough taskmaster, but understandably, of course, Romani's played a lot of domestic and international cricket. Yeah, look, I think with Craig Brathwaite, he does have the potential to lead from the top which I like with Craig Brathwaite. You know, when West Indies are looking fairly solid, it starts with his runs at the top of the order. Now, we all know international cricket. If you can perform as a player alongside your captaincy, it just takes all the pressure off. You look at the likes of Joe Root, of course, getting a mountain of runs, it takes a bit of pressure off. The likes of Alistair Cook back in the day, of course, you know, he would score a mountain of runs as captain. And I think that's the first target. What Craig Brathwaite needs to do is to go and score the kind of volume of runs that his talent deserves. And that will take an awful lot of pressure. He needs that top order to bind alongside him as well. But I think it's perhaps a little too early for me to make an overseas judgment on his captaincy. But I do think the way in which he can improve largely is by, well, winning the toss would be handy on the one hand, but that weight of runs at the top of the order would take an awful lot of pressure off him.
Okay, Johnny, let's now hear from the Sri Lankan skipper, Dimuth Karunaratne, who was also the man of the match.
It's a great test for me, you know, after a very long time I am playing a test cricket. Even didn't play a single club cricket at all. But I think, yes, it's a good game. The boys are doing really well. I was a bit worried because none of us played a 4-day games after the last test match. So, but I think they all put their hands up and did the job well for me.
You know, looking at your team, the combination is a team of experienced and inexperienced young guns. And some of your young guns were excellent with Pathum Nissanka at the top and your 3 spinners. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think youngsters are gaining experience from the experienced guy. I think that's what the bunch we call, you know, we need some of like Angelo Matthews, who has a lot of experience, Chandimal behind the wickets, and he's the one who got some runs in here. So that we need some experience in these conditions, and the youngsters who are doing well in the one-day series, even the spinners, 3 spinners done really good job, and the fast bowlers. I think they couldn't get much overs, but I think they do really job when they get the ball.
That's Dimuth Karunaratne, the skipper of Sri Lanka, and Tino. He did mention about the conditions suiting his team at Galle.
Yeah, led from the front. And Johnny said, Craig Brathwaite can take a lead from his book and get some runs at the top of the order, and it would take that pressure off. But at the end of the day, he is a very positive captain. He makes those crucial decisions. He's not afraid to try things. Even though he can be very defensive, I think when he smells blood, he's going for the kill. And that is something that Craig Brathwaite has to learn, and that's something that he will improve on. And look, at the end of the day, cricketers, I never worry about who was captain me. You concentrate on what you have to do as a player in the team to make the team a better environment and to make the team perform well. So it's all about every single individual to take a look in the mirror on that West Indies team and say, is international cricket something that I want to do for a long time? And if that is the mindset, then we have to see it out on the field. And they've got to back themselves and keep fighting hard for the people of the Caribbean.
Johnny, I know that Karunaratne is one of your favorite cricketers at the moment. You've exuded out how well he's done over the last 12 months or so. Your thoughts on his captaincy, especially in this first test match against West Indies?
Perfect. I mean, absolutely perfect. He won the toss and elected to bat first, which was handy. Then he got runs. I mean, just look at his runs. 75, 244, 118, 16, 147 and 83 at an average of 122 across his last 6 innings. That is how to lead from the front. He's a terrific cricketer in this side. And I think, you know, that if you have the confidence of that, the weight of runs, you have the confidence of winning the toss and getting 280 plus on that first day, set the game up. I think he marshalled his spinners brilliantly. He marshalled the attack all the way through brilliantly. He's a fine captain, a really fine captain, and he's got the resources to play with now. And I think Mickey Arthur, of course, who leaves, I think, at the end of this series, going to coach at Derbyshire, leaves the game in a terrific shape, especially in home conditions.
Tino, it's rumoured that with the departure of Mickey Arthur, that perhaps Mahela Jayawardene, who was a top-class batsman in his day, will become the new coach of Sri Lanka. The combination of Jayawardene and Karunaratne, how do you see that going down the road for Sri Lankan cricket?
It does positive. That's what you have to do you got to bring some of your legends back to the cricket. I think that Mahela Jayawardene record speaks for itself. Spent a lot of time with Jayawardene, and the thing about him is that he is a person that listens to you, and I think that's what the young players need. Once you've got someone that you can speak to and confide in, I think that makes the cricket a real comfortable environment. And I think this will be a wonderful combination, and all the best to Sri Lankan cricket.
All right, Tino, let's now look forward to the second test, which starts, as you mentioned, in a couple of days. In fact, it starts on the 29th. What possible changes do you see for the West Indies team, and what's the mindset going to be like going into that second test?
The mindset got to be positive. I think Phil Simmons got to rally his troops. When we're talking about final 11, Kemar Roach comes in for Shannon Gabriel. I would try to bring Jaden Seals for Raheem Cornwall and just leave Warwick Khan and Ralston Chase as the two spinning options, and just going with those three fast bowlers, Jason, Kemar, and Jaden Seals, with Warwick Khan and Ralston Chase as my spinners. I think that is the perfect 11 for that test match, for that second test in Gaul, and I wish you guys all the best.
How do you reconcile now? It seems as if Jeremy Solozano won't be available for that second test again because of the concussion situation. Would you allow Blackwood to open again, or would you ask Shea Hope to return to the top of the pack?
Shea Hope got to come to the top if he's in the final 11. I don't think that Blackwood technique or has the right temperament to open the batting. When I see Blackwood at the top of the order, I say, my gosh, Ron Bates would have done a better job. but really and truly, I think that Blackwood a little better down in the middle order, and just let Shea Hope play at the top. Hopefully he can try to play the ball straighter and just back himself. I don't think it's a talent thing with Shea Hope. I think that is all about that confidence and just backing himself. So that is the only situation with the batting that I will move around. And that's the 11 I will play.
Johnny, your thoughts as West Indies look towards this second test at the same Gaul ground. Starts in 3 days. How do you see the mindset, as I asked Tino, and what changes would you possibly make to the final 11?
I think what Tino's suggesting is quite a bold move, but actually, two seamers is not the worst idea by any stretch of the imagination. James Anderson, in that last test match that England played in Gaul, took 6 wickets, and 6 very cheap wickets. Stuart Broad got wickets in the first test. There are wickets available for the seamers, and that is a strength of the West Indies. Do you, as an away side, need 3 spinners? It's possibly a luxury. The one thing that Cornwall does give you is runs in that middle order. That's what Jaden Seals might not offer you. But those are the two potential changes that Tino talks about. For me, it would probably just be Kemar Roach for Shannon Gabriel, and then maybe rely on those 3 spinners. But I think from a mindset point of view, look, many good sides have got bundled here in Gaul over history. It's a difficult place to come to. Sri Lanka are very strong at home, and although they've been a little weak in international cricket maybe in the last 12, 18 months or so, they look like they're back with a bang. Key thing, win the toss, and if they lose the toss, is just to try and keep it as tight as they can on that first day and try and limit the potential damage. But I think just take heart from the fact that they almost saved the game with the weather, of course, today. They almost did, but just take heart from the way in which they battled, and especially Nkrumah Bono with that 220 ball, 68 not out. That was a terrific effort.
Thank you so much, Tino Best, former West Indies cricketer, and Johnny Barron, the international commentator based in England. I'm Andrew Seeley, and you've been watching On Tour with FlowSports, West Indies in Sri Lanka. Join us on Monday for the second test from Gaul.
To jump up, people, are you ready?
Cricket fans, the FlowSports platform has another good one for you. It's the Super Smash T20 League in New Zealand. The Wellington Firebirds won the last tournament. Who will it be for the 2021-2022 staging? For the answer, join FlowSports from now until the end of December for Super Smash T20 Cricket. Also available on the FlowSports app. Also available on the FlowSports app. The Staples Center in California is famous for being the home of legendary NBA team the Los Angeles Lakers. But on Sunday, December 5th, it plays host to what should be a gripping lightweight boxing showdown between Gervonta Davis, who puts his belt on the line against another rising star in the lightweight division, Isaac Cruz. Fight time 11 p.m. ECT, 10 p.m. Jamaica, live and exclusive on FlowSports. The pinnacle of global team tennis, the Davis Cup, will be decided over 10 fantastic days of action November 26th to December 5th. The best teams in the world will lay it all on the line in 3 big European cities: Madrid in Spain, Innsbruck in Austria, and Turin in Italy. FlowSports will have live coverage starting on November 26th with Spain facing Ecuador at 10 a.m. ECT, then the following day, November 27th, with France battling Great Britain at 4 a.m. ECT. Don't miss it.
FlowSports is changing the game. Bundesliga, Rush, IPL, and more in full HD. Watch your favorite stars like never before. FlowSports is changing quality. Download now.